An Arkansas state representative and candidate for Benton County judge has been arrested. State Rep Austin McCollum is facing multiple criminal charges and growing calls from state leaders to resign. McCollum won the Republican primary for Benton County judge in March and is the only candidate currently set to appear on the November ballot. His arrest now leaves questions about the future of both his state house seat and the county judge's office. State Representative Austin McCollum was booked into the Benton County Jail Saturday on charges of aggravated assault, third-degree domestic battering, and first-degree false imprisonment. McCollum has represented Arkansas House District 8 since 2017, which includes parts of Rogers and Pea Ridge, and won the Republican primary for Benton County judge in March. With no Democratic or independent candidates in the race, he was set to run unopposed in November, effectively guaranteeing him the position. But his arrest quickly sparked calls for him to resign from the legislature and withdraw from the county judge's race, including some Republican leaders who previously endorsed him. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders called the allegations appalling and sickening, saying McCollum should resign and drop out of the race if they are true. Attorney General Tim Griffin also called for his resignation, saying there is no justification for domestic violence. House Speaker Brian Evans removed McCollum from his House leadership and committee positions and said he would convene the House to take further action if McCollum does not resign. The Republican Party of Benton County called the allegations deeply troubling while emphasizing due process and the presumption of innocence. When asked if McCollum plans to drop out of the race, Republican Party of Benton County Chairwoman Barbara Tillman cited a number of legal issues and said they're hard at work with this very sad situation. McCollum is expected to be in court early next week. To read the full statements from state leaders, groups, and lawmakers, you can visit our website, 5newsonline.com. Well, today, the State Crime Lab says it reached a milestone in clearing a backlog that has seen some investigators wait more than 600 days for digital forensic analysis to be completed. Troopers say thanks to having a full staff, updated technology, and more efficiency, the turnaround for forensic analysis is now 30 days. But even though we all use technology so much, Lab Director Dr. Theodore Brown says solving crimes with all that tech is not as simple as just plugging in a phone to a computer and clicking search.
Mobile phones that are increasingly harder to get into, lawfully to get into. Having increased encryption and safety features on phones are good for consumers. Those additional features make it more difficult for our team members to lawfully perform the forensic examination. So it's that access into the phones, and then there's analysis, and then there's reporting, and sometimes reanalysis.
Dr. Brown says moving into the new crime lab will only continue to tackle the growing demand for digital forensic investigations. Fort Smith police say they're seeing more teenagers getting involved with gun violence this summer. Today, officers and local organizations came together at Second Chance Youth Center for an event focused on preventing gun and gang violence. 5 News reporter Taylor Howard spoke with a former gang member now running a program that helps kids find a better path.
What I'm seeing on the streets right now is a lot of, runaways is occurring a lot of kids being in possession of firearms when they shouldn't, a lot of breaking and enterings right now, and, behavior issues with kids and their parents.
Officer Blake Scott leads the Shield Our Youth program for the Fort Smith Police Department, helping connect families with resources before their child ends up in jail. Saturday, he stood beside people who know where that road can lead.
I used to bring drugs from California here. That's what brought me to Fort Smith.
Jesus Bialba says he joined a gang when he was just 12 years old after growing up in a broken home.
I just felt like I needed that love, and I found that love in the streets.
By 23, he was facing 10 years in prison. Bialba says that was the wake-up call he needed.
I was tired. I need to change my life, because if I don't change my life now, I'm going to end up dead, 6 feet under, or I'm going to end up in prison.
Now he runs the Second Chance Youth Center in Fort Smith. Saturday's event helped highlight his program, which helps kids find mentors and gives them a safe place to go after school.
We try to find resources and guide them onto the right direction so that they don't end up like me.
Bialba says every kid deserves to know they have a future.
I want them to know that they are somebody you know that they're not in a statistic.
In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Taylor Howard, 5 News.
This was the Second Chance Youth Center's first event, and they say they plan to host more in Fort Smith and Northwest Arkansas. Families can also contact Fort Smith Police and ask to speak with the Shield Our Youth officer to get connected with local resources. Well, the Arkansas Department of Finance is reminding Arkansans that the state's tax-free weekend is happening right now. This tax-free weekend is a convenient way for busy parents and professionals to complete their to-do list before the start of the school year. Shoppers will not have to pay the state's 6.5% sales tax on qualified items. Local sales tax doesn't apply either, and for those shopping online, online purchases qualify if the item is shipped to Arkansas. Oklahoma's tax-free weekend starts next week. And with the first day of school just around the corner, volunteers in Springdale spent their morning helping students head back to the classroom prepared. The Samaritan Community Center's annual Backpack for Kids event provided 3,000 backpacks filled with grade-specific school supplies for students from kindergarten through 12th grade. The event also featured community resources and services for families preparing for the school year, including free haircuts and lunch. Organizers say new supplies makes a major difference in children's lives.
And just having the tools, a new backpack, new school supplies, just creates a positive self-esteem so they're starting with a fresh start just like everyone else.
The Samaritan Community Center says any remaining supplies will continue to be distributed to students in need before the start of the school year. Well, the city of Pea Ridge rang in a new era of shopping in town with their very first farmers market held today. The 2026 pilot season was designed with the community in mind as a way to connect people who grow and sell local produce and to support local agriculture and small businesses. Heath Boylan with Boylan's Bees was at the farmers market today and says selling his fresh honey is a way to keep his business growing.
Through the sales, that's what helps buy equipment for the bees and keep things going. And, that's what, fuels the business,
Admission is, of course, free, and the farmers market will continue from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. every other Saturday until October. Also today, Ozark Folkways hosted their second annual Tomato Festival earlier. The event featured live folk music and square dancing, while attendees could buy local produce from farmers market vendors. There was even a tomato cooking contest with one simple rule: whatever the dish was, it had to be tomato. A member of the board of directors tells us that last year's festival was so successful, they simply had to host another one.
People said that it was a fun event. They enjoyed the food. They enjoyed the music, and they enjoyed learning about Ozark Folkways.
There were some creative cooks and bakers at the event today, where items like tomato bread were available for attendees to try. And it's one of the oldest buildings in downtown Fort Smith, if not in the entire region. But now it's in need of a facelift, both inside and out. 5 News anchor Darren Bobb tells us work on the Fort Smith Museum of History building actually began several months ago.
The museum was opened in 1910, and over the years it has been worked on to make it what it is today. But it's been several years since a project this big has taken place. It's a 3-year, $5 million effort that started last fall when every window from the second floor was replaced.
On the first floor, those big shop windows, kind of what we refer to them as, those have all, the woodwork around those has been restored, repaired, and repainted. And then the other 60 plus windows that are on the second, third, and fourth floor have all been replaced to historic standards.
Executive Director Caroline Spear says one of the most visible repairs is to what's called the cornice of the building.
We have the cornice, the crown of the building. And it's the thing that you see from a distance. The cornice has been scraped, repaired, repainted. Looks beautiful.
The HVAC has also had a major upgrade, and she says repairing some of the outside brickwork and replacing the roof are the next big projects in line. And once all that's finished, work will begin on the inside, starting with the second floor.
This room right now that we're in is a community room. So this is the room that we use for our events or rentals or different things like that. It's a space the community can use. But we want to open this up for display. We can almost double the space on the second floor.
Then Spears says the community room would move to an eventually revamped basement.
Finishing out the basement, or at least a part of it, will give us a community space, a conference room, and a classroom for children.
Spears says the first floor will also have some minor work done, and she says after it's all finished,
I hope that people see, one, because our primary job here, aside from caring for the building, is to collect the city story and tell the city's history, and the region's history, really. Being able to, with the expansion of the exhibit space, being able to tell more of that story, being able to utilize more of the artifacts, because we're a very artifact-heavy museum. We will be able to better serve the public. We'll have more space. We'll have more ability to do programming on more exhibitions and more parts and pieces of history.
In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, I'm Darren Bobb, 5 News.
Right now, repair work is in the first of 3 phases. The museum has raised about $1 million of their $5 million goal.